Hi, you're tuning in to AWANI Review with me, Cynthia Ng. Joining me on the show today is Richard Wong. He is the founder and chief listener of Vistage Malaysia. Now, Vistage is the world's leading professional organization dedicated to the education and development of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, Richard, for coming on the show.
A pleasure.
Now let's start with Vistage. Long history, globally started in 1957. If you can share with us, how did Vistage shape the corporate sector and the business sectors globally? What is the role?
We noticed that in decision making, there is a lack of input from outside. For example, if you are a CEO of a manufacturing plastics, you already look at in that particular sector, and if you join a plastic industry, you're still within the industry. Now, if you join industry and you try to share and learn from each other, it's a little limited. And some who are very good probably won't share because you are like their competitor, right?
Yeah.
So we say, think two heads are better than one. We say even better if you have your peers of CEO or business owner from a different industry. That forces you to think out of the box. So often we say, think out of the box, think out of the box. How do you think out of the box if you are boxed in? So in this case, we are saying, hey, if you've, like we have average of 12 CEOs from different industries, still you have 12 paradigms, and everybody is doing, the objective is the same, increasing top line, bottom line, right people, retaining the people, where do you grow, and you will have challenges in the similar challenge, but people from different industries look at it differently.
So the idea is to get insights and knowledge from different industries.
Correct.
And put them together.
Correct.
And discuss.
That's right. The power of the perspective, power of different paradigm to bear on your challenge or opportunity.
All right. Let's just start a bit with, go back to how this all began in Malaysia. Vistage is a global organization. You founded Vistage Malaysia in 1994.
That's right.
You left a top job in a corporate company.
Yes.
After 18 years.
Yes.
To start Vistage Malaysia.
Yeah.
What drove you to do that?
I was appointed the head of the country for an Australian, but his parent company is English. I've been there 18 years, and during the last 5-6 years, my chairman said, Richard, will you want to take a senior position in Australia? I said, no. Then a year later, he said, what about Europe? I said, no. Then I said, hey, what do I want? But deep in my mind, there's this calling that I should get out one day from my job and offer myself to coach, particularly SME, to better manage the business, because I'm in charge of literally many industry in the plastic packaging, glass packaging, manufacturing of switchgear, a glass bottle, fiberglass insulation, roofing tiles. So many industry. I said, from then I used to then work with the different GMs, and I say, hey, where do I go to talk about my challenge? But I see they benefited from somebody not involved in the business, from outside the business, help you to look a bit beyond, not grinding down all the time. And then one day in a Qantas flight from Melbourne to Kuala Lumpur, I opened the in-flight magazine. Lo and behold, there's this gentleman saying, as CEO, you're lonely at the top. You don't have to be lonely if your peers of similar position. Now that clicked and said, wow, I was thinking of using my very experience to help SME. And now there's a platform, help you not only connect locally, but give you a platform globally. So what I did, at that time I was asking to list the company. After listing, this thing came in and said, hey, what about this? So I decided to take 1 week off, flew to America, and saw the board and the CEO. And first thing he asked me, he said, Richard, I am associate professor of some of the universities. Asians don't share. So our concept is to sharing the problems and opportunity. How do you think it will work? I said to him with due respect, Asians are slow in answering and slow in question because from our culture we tend to be more respectful and probably a little bit afraid to be wrong. But I think once we build that rapport, we are very deep. We are more caring and go the extra mile to help each other. I said to him with due respect. And that time I was with the YPO. They have a similar forum and a small group. I said, I have this experience. So I am going to give up my top job to introduce this. Instead, I'm committed enough to believe enough. He said, wow.
And there's no turning back ever since?
Yes, after that, no turning back.
Okay. I'd like to pick your point about loneliness, isolation, because this is something that top CEOs or executives, they don't talk about, right? You have to consistently appear calm in front of your staff. You have to deliver results. Right. For you personally, what were the challenges to reach out to other people? No, what is that experience being a CEO at the top? Is it always have to be lonely at the top?
So when I became a CEO, I would walk to the canteen or the staff for lunch. When I say, can I join you? Sure. The minute I sat down, they were finished within less than a minute and said they have something to do. I walk from table to table. They're just afraid of being in your presence. Either you ask too many questions or they don't know how to answer you. Now, you are automatically isolated. Now, plus the fact that if you are on the top and people don't talk to you and share really the facts, actually the minute you become CEOs in some cases, you no longer hear the truth.
And that hinders job performance.
That's right. So you have a distorted view and you make decisions based on the distorted view. You will never make great decisions. Right?
So when Vistage members come together, what are the things that they share? What are the insights?
Okay, let's look at the business model. We form groups of business owner and CEO, non-competing, right? Let's say in my group I have 16, and they meet once a month. It's almost like your personal board. They're committed. If they miss 3 meetings, they're out. Now the first thing in a monthly meeting, first if we spend an hour, everybody will share what happened to you in significant terms. Your business, yourself, and your family. When you look at it, read the 3 circles about our business or our career. It's ourselves and our relationship, and we talk about then the family. Now, if one of these circles, it is low or high, that's imbalance. Now, if you spend 80% at work, the family suffer.
Just to keep each other in balance, check and balance.
So we bring back and share it. Then you say, my God, this guy, 50%, 30% with the family, and 20% for himself, and looks so happy. And he has going back for dinner to make sure, and they take annual holidays, whether it is local or whatever. Some have never given the family holidays. They promise a promise, but work becomes priority. Now they say, hey, work is part of your life. It's not all. Now, what we do is not tell them, but giving you a perspective that different people do different things. Hey, there's another way of living your life. And therefore, they take for insight and say, I have one member still with me, and the wife say, Richard, obviously, he said, you're godsend. My husband for the last 3 years never came home or never come home for dinner, and always busy at work. After joining Vistage, he started to come back once, twice a week, now 2 or 3 times, and somebody insists. He comes back, have dinner with the family, then go back to work. I said, I don't know what changed him. I said, I didn't change him. He saw what the peers are doing.
And a better way of doing it.
A better way of doing it. Okay. So basically, we are open them the perspective and let you choose whether it's relevant for you, applicable to you. Now, same thing if you talk about a challenge, a business problem. The sales are coming down, margin are coming down, and then I would say, okay, present the group, share with the group what are the challenges. what have you done to date? Then the group will ask questions. And after that, from their own perspective, hey, this is that you should try. This is you should try. At the end, I would say, like with John, your group have given you 6 good ideas. I'd like you to pick 2 or 3 or all applicable to you. After they pick, the next one-to-one, I say, John, what have you done? In a sense of holding them accountable. Next month, they have to report back to the group. The group say, what have you done? Now, if you don't do anything, say, why are you here? So in a sense, we really help them to open up the challenges, and we give them different perspective, and hopefully that some are relevant for them to go and implement. So we are there to help each other to grow.
I'd like to touch a bit about pitfalls or traps. For example, I'm thinking ego, right? It's something that, like loneliness, you don't really talk about ego. I'm sure you met a lot of really smart CEOs, headstrong, confident, perhaps maybe overconfident. You know, how do you keep them in check? Maybe how do you teach them to keep their ego in check?
Okay. First thing, we come in, again, handphone, silent mode or turn off. And 2, we say that and repeat it. Please hang your ego outside the door. Meaning if I said something to you, it's meant to be a feedback, not a criticism, not a judgment. Now, of course, as you said in the beginning, some are very sensitive. Right? Some, hey, you're wrong. I said, hey, we are not wrong. Everybody have a different perspective. The reason why we are here is to listen to a different perspective. Then you pick. You can still retain your perspective, but you can see the other perspective. One of the incidents I remember, this guy is very dominant. I say, hey, you're saying it now, let other people a chance. He did not, 3 times. So I went up quietly to him in front of, I literally, boom, shut up! You got to shock him. I could see the smile from everybody. Later I said to him, I did it for a purpose, because you seems to, in a habit, with good intention, you have a lot of things to share, but you just don't let people have a chance. Then when I had one-to-one with him, I said to him, if you feel hurt, I apologize, but I did it. I hope it's good for you. I said, from what you are, I think you ask for people for ideas. He said, sure. But then they got a chance. Then he looked at me and stepped back and just think about it. Perhaps you're right. I never listened to my people. And he didn't realize it until you're in front of CEOs and people put a mirror in front. This is how you look at. But in organization, who's going to tell you?
You wouldn't dare to say that
Nobody,
to your boss, right?
Right. Yeah.
Let's talk about effective leadership, right? What is effective leadership to you?
Making great decisions. Great decisions is, again, they say more heads better than one. And I say what we put is better heads with different perspective. Now, if you talk about, if you're sharing this, I want to make the decision to invest. If people from different industry, different paradigm, ask you questions and give you input, likely your decisions will be much better because you hear different perspective. Now, I'll share an example. In fact, the lady here, the Cargill, I was very proud of her at that time. She was about late 40, appointed CEO chairman of Cargill. Cargill is the largest private trading commodities. And one day she has to present a $50 million project to build a container to bring in salt and things like that. She got the American CFO, local CFO, presented, and we did a one-to-one. She shared with me. I said, I think there's something need to some input. He said, Richard, I have no time. I go need 2-3 days. I said, never mind. Tomorrow is a meeting. Why don't you share it? Her plan was torn to pieces. The way he present and the way he's going to present it was very arrogant. And the request to the government, but things are very, I must this, I must this. So we said to, hey, the Asian way is not like this. You have to sell yourself, prove you're worthy, and don't say, if you don't give me, I don't invest. If you don't give me incentive, I don't invest. They really give a hard time. At the end of it, he said, Richard, thank you very much. He called the team together, do the proposal. The board flew in, presented to the board. The board sat back and said, Mac, this is the best presentation we have. Every question we ask, you have already options for us. What's the difference? He said, boss, remember, I asked permission to join Vistage, and I attend every month the meeting. I got this perspective from my fellow CEOs.
I want to pick a point about Asian leadership and
Okay.
Western leadership, right?
Yeah.
There's certainly a big difference in terms of how you approach, in terms of leadership, in terms of decision making. What are some of the lessons that perhaps we look at Asian CEOs, entrepreneurs, skills that may be lacking, things they need to do to be better?
One is they are not open and willing to say what they're in mind. Again, maybe the culture, and maybe still to the Westerner tend to feel a little bit deep down inferior, and it's the mindset. So we say that if you have the point, you need to give your views, then you can have respect. But if you just say agree and sort of but, I think you will not get respect, particularly the Westerners. Okay, the Westerners tend to be more hate. If it is so, you don't perform out. Easterners more hard. Or you're a classmate, brought you in, I cannot ask you to go. So they will make excuses. We are not willing to face hard facts in order to run an organization. And this part to do with culture. And I remember one was, the brother was actually taking money from the business. And he didn't know, subsequently he knew, and he wanted to fire it. So he talked to the mother. Mother said, no, this is your brother. I don't care what you do, you keep him. He came to us, he said, my God, how are you going to run? If you allow people, I say, if it's on your brother, what do you do? You'll be out in the next minute. But there's a mother who said, you have to take care of him. That's, I think, a lot of relationships, a lot of the heart comes in to prevent the hate for making the right decision.
Well, you, besides being the founder and chief listener at Vistage, you also sit on a number of boards, independent director on companies like Sunway, Syntax, Kind Holdings. What's the role of the board when it comes to helping CEOs? Because CEOs, you have the short-term goals, which is usually quarterly basis, and then you have the longer-term plans, which is the big picture of the company, values, vision, mission. What is the relationship like? And especially now, there is increased or heightened demand for transparency, honesty in an organization, especially if it's a public listed company.
Okay. I think if we accept the role as an independent, I'm talking about independent, right? You have to do what your fiduciary responsibility. If we are not prepared to do that, and the important is the governance, the transparency, the inner controls. If you accept mediocre, you accept what is not deemed to be the right thing to do, you should not serve on the board. I remember there are a few boards. One board, they were giving bonuses, and 1 year was very down, and the CEO decided to give a token bonus of 2 months to each of the executive directors and say, hey, I've given to them, I feel they earn it, they work very hard, and although they're not making money. And I said to them, how would I answer if a shareholder asks, why are you paying bonuses when they're losing money? we're supposed to reward for performance and not reward for working hard. So I said, I am not going to sign off. He said, you put me in a difficult position. I said, well, I am doing what I'm supposed to do. If you want a director, this is my role. So decided to communicate that and say, by the way, the remuneration committee has rejected your advance bonus is considered advance to you. So next time when I went to the bar, I can see some looking at me with a...
You know, you see in Malaysia, we've seen in the past how officials or even people in the corporate sector, they sit on multiple boards. They receive, obviously, an income from being on boards. And at the end of it, sometimes it's just, it comes down to making tough decisions, making right decisions, but sometimes the board themselves are perhaps not the best individuals there to ensure the company is in the right place.
Yeah, you're right. I think the Security Commission have taken a tougher side and say that now the audit on the remuneration all must be independent. And second is on the rotation. Also, the nomination should not be from the executive directors or chairman. And we, the nomination committee, have to go in and say, are they complementary? Why are they coming in? Who recommend those? I think by putting in, people tend to be, hey, there must be enough outside candidates to consider.
So you view that as more stringent measures put in place now?
No, I think they are taking more, we got a way to go. And I remember I said on tour, we have to call up with Satan Sri, and they couldn't come. I said, we want to have a conversation with you. So a teleconference and say, how do you think you contribute? Have you got time or not? We're going to serve at least 2 committees or 3 committees. Are you time to do that? And how many? You have 5 already. Are you having enough time? So we asked that and move to a process and say, really, you've got time, and if you appoint all the committee, we need to really be present. And now, of course, even AGM, the requirements is, if you're independent, those days they don't. You have to be present to make sure that you really put in the time. Okay. I saw from 3, those that earlier I say 3 is ample if you want to really do the job. If you have more, are you able to read through the papers beforehand and think through and really contribute?
To really make an impact being on the board.
Right.
Okay.
You want to have if you want to do it, you must make a difference. The money is another matter. That's helping the organization. If you look at just to fill that position, then you, now more stringent, you'll be in trouble. Now the fines are getting heavier, right?
All right. Now, Vistage Malaysia has come a long way. It has evolved a lot. And where do you see the organization next?
We hopefully, if more members come in, after learning a more open culture, maybe a better culture, and hopefully in a small way, we can influence. You see, we say we influence the team. This morning I presented, we have 800 members, employ 120,000 employees now. And if we take the 2018 national household size of 4.1, this morning I mentioned we are impacting 500,000 families. Now, if through this more members coming in, you see the members coming in, usually they come in, they know what they're getting into. You are prepared to be challenged, you need to change. If you are not, the first thing we ask you if you are interested in see if your bottom line, tell me what are your real sales figure, the number, the cash flow. If you're not going to share, then I say you are not going to get value. You can't go to a doctor and say, doctor, you're a doctor, I won't tell you anything. You are not helping where some leads, right? Same thing too. So if they come in and they're open, and usually they come in, they want to change, they will change. And almost when I started, one CEO challenged me and said, Richard, you talk as if it's almost a guarantee return on my investment and time, right? Can you guarantee it? I say right in the face. If you are invited to join, if you are invited, if you attend all the meetings, 12 meetings a year, 1-to-1, and you put me in writing, you didn't benefit it at all, I return your money with interest. You join and becomes still a member.
Thank you so much, Richard, for making time for this interview. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.